Hello and welcome to the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
I'm Matt.
and today we're going to be reviewing.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, our boy is back again. Episode
Three.
3, Thin Ice. How do I feel about it? Well, the story was a bit whack, but what I did like the kind of what can only be described as philosophical debates. Now, it's interesting whether they're purposely doing it with Bill or whether the storytelling and the writings had a bit of a kind of kick up in terms of companions, but really Bill's like, because certain questions were brought up. So I mean, the episode starts off, they're in Regency London, bad weather, there's a bit of a chill going on, so the whole of the Thames is frozen over. um, Weird lights under the surface and people are getting eaten, correct?
Pretty much.
So it's interesting because they killed a kid,
Yeah.
which is very rare that happens. So I mean, they're at the little fair or whatever on the Thames, and it's like, to be honest, as soon as you stepped on the ice, I'm thinking, why aren't people dropping left, right, and centre? You know what I mean? Because that's got to be slippy as, even though there was a kind of little kind of layer of snow and stuff like that, but still, that's got to be way slippy.
Of all the things you to pick up on, that's it.
Well, there's a couple other things as well. So yeah,
Okay.
they end up getting pickpocketed, and the little kid jacks his sonic screwdriver, and they dash off. And then the two kids hide in a tent, and then obviously the doctor and Bill are like, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on? We can't find them." And for some reason, they pop out of the tent and end up running straight in view, like off. I'm thinking if they stayed in that tent, they would have got away with that. What was interesting as well is, as soon as they left the TARDIS, it flashed up on like the little computer, like our life form detected, warning and stuff like that. So I was thinking to myself, why doesn't he carry like a phone or a tablet that's linked to the TARDIS so he gets these things? Because this stuff happens all the time. In the Matt Smith thing, when like the whole cracking the universe was going on, that flashed up on the computer screen a couple times, and it was just like going out the door, so he didn't clock it. So I'm
Well,
thinking, why didn't he carry a tablet or something and be like, oh, you know what I mean?
A, 'cause it's there to tell the audience something and not him. And B, if you want an in-universe explanation, he's kind of a douche who likes things to go wrong so he can run in and fix them. So I don't think he would want it anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I was thinking, why didn't the kids just stay in the tent and they would have got away with it? But no, they run out, so they dash out afterwards. Then the lights under the surface, the kid gets dropped, and it's kind of, they did a kind of Lady the Lake thing with obviously Excalibur or the Sword of Mars, but they did it with the sonic screwdriver. So he manages to get his screwdriver back, the kid drops, and then Bill kind of melts, and she's like, yo. Which was interesting as well, because I thought about it, because it is like a strong thing to bring up. She was like, oh, I've never seen anyone die before, and I was thinking, you know what, none of the other companions really, when stuff like that popped off, they just did the whole like that, but they never actually brought it up, you know what I mean? So I thought it was interesting that
Yeah,
they had the discussion, as it were.
it is interesting. It is interesting. I think off the top of my head, maybe I can't remember. Maybe Donna in the Runaway Bride had a similar reaction of not being kind of taken in by him. A lot of them, the companions, are taken in by how kind of weird and wonderful he is. They kind of stroke over a lot of the crap that comes with it. It wasn't interesting, but I'll get right to it. I thought the monster and the villain thing in this episode was kind of lame. I really wasn't into it at all. But the stuff with the companion and the building of the bond, I thought was the strength of the episode. The I'm still trying to figure out what the dynamic's going to be with Bill, but so far I like her.
In what
So,
sense?
as in, what's their thing going to be? With uh, Rose and with Martha, they both were into him. With Donna,
So was Clara.
yeah, but that's true. But it was kind of different when he turned older. You know what I mean? That
So
was
was
a weird
Amy
one to work
Pond
out.
as well.
Yeah, but not really. Then
Yeah, at the start.
they were best friends, and that was their thing. They haven't all been into him, so clearly she's not going to be either. If she's a lesbian, so what exactly is her function with the Doctor going to be? It's not a criticism. I'm just interested in figuring out I suppose it's the teacher thing. I guess that's what they're going with.
Yeah, the kind of mental thing. Because I always thought to myself, it's interesting he kind of goes for these kind of people and stuff like that. Really, all of them are kind of teacher things to those who actually want to be taught. But like what I always thought the best kind of dynamic was with Captain Jack being that
Of course you would.
no, being that he's a alien. Well, let's not beat around the bush. He's an alien, as it were. So they kind of had a lot more in common. That they're kind of conversing was more like a meeting of the minds, being like, oh yeah, I've seen things, you've seen things, whereas like many of the kind of human companions are just like, oh, that's so amazing, this is so, I've never seen this before, blah blah blah, whereas with him it was like, yo, this is something's popping off, and it's like, alright, I've got your back, Doctor. He was able to assist as a companion in a more vernacular way.
Well, but Captain Jack wasn't really a companion. I mean, briefly, he doesn't really. But you know, what I mean, the show is the Doctor teaching people stuff. That's what it's always been. So you can't. How long can you drag out the Captain Jack thing? You know what I mean? How long can he really run around with the Doctor? He couldn't do that for 3 years.
I know someone who could drag it out for quite a while.
John Barrowman, given the choice, absolutely. But he wouldn't be able to make that work in the long term. The show is about the Doctor.
But my always thought being is that like probably a best companion would be an alien companion.
Maybe, and you know, it's. I mean, they've got Nardole now, haven't they? But it's something to think about in the future. Do something different, but do you want to do something different?
I don't know, but they're kind of getting pally-pally, and really she's kind of gelled in real well. So kind of back to the thing she was bringing up, and then she brought up the whole, oh, have you killed anybody and stuff like that. That was shocking, and like I thought it was when she was like, I thought they were going to do it clever and be like, when she asked for the number, I thought it was just going to lick out a number straight away, but it's like, now I've moved on, which I guess makes sense. The other point is like, I'm pretty sure in those times they didn't have proper sewers, as it were, so they were pumping all their stuff, waste as it were, into the River Thames. So when they jump in to the River Thames and it looks kind of clear, I was thinking to myself, that doesn't really ring true, because the water would be so light, full of waste as it were, they wouldn't be able to see anything.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so that was another issue I brought up. So yeah, it turns out like they're like these aristocrats or high up industrymen are paying the little kids to get people onto the river so that they can get eaten, so then the excrement, the big monster thingy under there, poops out stuff which is like fuel, which burns way longer than anything else and can burn underwater, and they've kind of built an industry off that. So yeah, so they go to confront them, and then there's the whole racial thing, because they kind of touch on it at the start. They're like, yo, isn't there like racist stuff and things like that going on in those times? And then they glaze over that, and then when they finally get into the industryman's house, obviously he gives his rhetoric, which ends up him getting a smack in the mouth. Doctor Who smacks him, which I thought was good. Because it's interesting, because they don't really, there's a lot of things in this episode that they haven't really addressed, brought up or anything like that. Obviously with kind of David Tennant, when they did the werewolf thing, when they're up in Scotland, and he comments on how like poorly dressed Rose Tyler is and stuff like that, but generally they just kind of glaze over them issues. So whether it's kind of trying to be relevant in regards to popular culture in this day and age, I guess they're trying to pull that out. I do agree the monster was a bit whack. They end up like, the bad guy ends up falling into the river, blah blah blah, and then Doctor Who ends up like fudging some documents, so like the orphan kids get all the like money and stuff like that, and then end up going back to normal time, and then Nardole's giving his whole rant about leaving off world and stuff like that, and then finally what I've been waiting for is like a little nod outside the episode to what's popping elsewhere. I was expecting a master thing or something like that, but what we got is the vault, and the vault is knocking.
That's too easy. There's no way that's the master.
No, because I was
That's
watching.
only knocked 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I picked up on. So I was thinking, it's that kind of popping up. But you got to think, right? Something's in there. The question is, what is it?
Also, that would be gone as well by now, wouldn't it? The knock 4 times thing. They fixed that, didn't they? So that's not even going to be a plot point anyway. I don't know what's in there, but I doubt it's the master.
I guess a lot of people are probably like, well, it's this whole oath thing that Nardole obviously mentioned and stuff like that, and it's coming off real kind of bitter and jealous. So I'm kind of expecting Nardole to turn and let whatever it is out, because he was saying, it's kind of addressing it and saying like, he's got a new friend now, blah blah blah. So it's coming off real jealous, and you can tell because there's a kind of a bitterness towards Bill that is kind of has been referenced a couple times in the first episode, the second episode, with his coldness towards the whole thing. I don't know what to think, but all I know is it's cool. I wanted little snippets like this at the end of the majority of the episodes. Next episode, guest starring David Suchet, and it's like a house.
I don't know who that is.
Poirot.
No.
Oh, you're a douche, man. That's like a British institution. Anyway, so yeah, it's a house eating people, kind of hokey, I guess, but it could be interesting. Let's talk numbers for this episode.
I'm going to give it a 6.
Really?
The stuff between the Doctor and Bill, yeah, that was cool, but honestly, the monster and the villain, terrible throwaway. Who cares? I'm going to forget it next week. You know, it was like a lame version of the Beast Below. It's like, let's free the thing at the end, and it goes like, yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't rewatch it, but I guess that's why maybe they're self-aware in the sense they threw the kind of vault thing in there at the end. So like people are like, don't forget, you may have been bored by this episode, but there's that as well. I'll give it a 7. I like the yarn they were spinning, as it were. I thought there were some nice things in there that haven't been covered before. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens. I'm Sam.
I'm Matt.
And this has been
The Superhero